On June 9, 2025, deputies moved in to stop the vehicle, but the driver, later identified as Yam Pereira Nunez, had other plans. Instead of complying, Nunez floored the accelerator, launching a high-speed pursuit down Highway 70. Investigators later confirmed his background: a convicted felon behind the wheel of a stolen truck and driving on an expired license. With the danger escalating, the Florida Highway Patrol joined the pursuit, coordinating with deputies in an effort to bring the chase to a safe end. After the primary trooper attempted a pit maneuver, not once but twice, the stolen Dodge Ram somehow managed to stay on the road as both attempts failed, and for a moment. But his luck was running out. The suspect began to slow down, his reckless driving taking its toll. That's when a backup trooper closed the distance, moving into position.
He recovered back. It's going westbound on 731. 731. Hit it again, Zach. Don't do that again.
Once again, the suspect managed to recover, leaving troopers in an uncomfortable situation. Every failed pit attempt meant more time on the road, more danger to everyone around. But even when luck seems to be on the suspect's side, it rarely lasts forever. That last pit may not have stopped him, but it did leave its mark. Damage from the maneuver finally caught up with the truck, and soon one of the tires gave out. With rubber peeling off and sparks flying, the Dodge Ram was forced to slow down even more. The suspect was ultimately identified as 40-year-old Yam Pereira Nunez, a Cuban national with a lengthy history of legal trouble. Court records reveal he was scheduled to appear in Highlands County just last month, but he never showed up. The reason soon became clear. Pereira Nunez is currently being held by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement at the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Facility. He now faces 2 charges in Highlands County: fleeing and eluding, and resisting arrest without violence, in addition to being a primary suspect in the high-profile theft of nearly $100,000 worth of construction equipment across Central Florida. On July 10, 2021, just after 1:30 a.m., a Coweta County pursuit spilled onto Interstate 85 southbound, and Georgia State Patrol was called to assist. The fleeing driver was behind the wheel of a dark vehicle, lights off, racing into the night at speeds topping 140 mph. As troopers closed in, the suspect swerved recklessly, slamming his brakes whenever a pit attempt was near.
Y'all continue southbound.
Yeah, 10-4, still southbound. The guy you think driving down the middle, he's trying to block me out. I'm not sure if he's clear on the 28.
Clear on the 28, again.
Right, that's Harris County though, since you get this down here as well. Where you gonna go?
Multiple tactical attempts to stop the vehicle failed. Each time troopers moved into position, the driver fought back, weaving, braking hard, and even forcing officers to swerve to avoid being hit. The chase spilled onto State Route 18, where the driver spun off the shoulder, careened down an embankment, and somehow clawed his way back onto the ramp. But he wasn't done running.
Alright, I got you stand by. He's 10-50. Never mind, we're driving back out of it. We're driving back out. We're still southbound. He tried to exit at the 34. Alright, he's cut back up to the embankment. We're going back up towards off the 34 now.
Clear, cutting up the embankment, take the turning right on the 18.
I'm making a U-turn, cut through the median. We're coming back.
Y'all going northbound, southbound?
We're back southbound.
We're on southbound.
As a trooper moved in to set up another pit maneuver, the suspect did the unthinkable. He intentionally rammed the patrol car. The cruiser spun out at highway speeds, narrowly missing the tree line. But the trooper managed to regain control, recover the skid, and immediately jump back into the pursuit.
Alright, he's still in it.
Well, take time. Go for it.
Pinned against a large oak tree, the chase appeared to be over. But only for a moment. The driver shattered the rear window, crawled out, and took off running. In the darkness of the woods, the foot pursuit was brief. Deputies tackled him and took him into custody. Inside the vehicle, officers found a passenger with active warrants, and in the back seat, a terrified 4-year-old child. The child was immediately rushed to medics and was later safely reunited with family. The driver told deputies he ran because his license was suspended, and in his own words, he didn't want to go back to jail. He also admitted to drinking and smoking marijuana while driving over 140 men with a child in the car. Blood samples were collected, and he was booked into jail on a long list of charges. It was June 15, 2021 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, when a Milwaukee police spotted a vehicle reported stolen, and when officers closed in to confirm it, the driver showed no signs of stopping. Instead, the situation exploded into a pursuit. But what shocked everyone wasn't just the reckless driving, it was who was behind the wheel. The suspect was only 16 years old, and what followed became one of the most unforgettable pursuits in the city's history.
TI, 5766 North 99th Street. Female fell off the vehicle.
Kia Sportage, Wisconsin Plate 592, X-ray Union Tom. Going to be occupied by 2 juveniles here in Tom. I got some traffic on my side. We're going to be westbound on Good Hope from 99th Street. We're currently 30 miles an hour. We're going to be doing a U-turn, and we're cutting back to go west, or correction, east on Good Hope, slowing down. Thought his car was fucked. 50 miles an hour. Road conditions good. Traffic is light. Going to be passing 91st Street. It is now in oncoming traffic.
As the stolen vehicle swerved directly into oncoming traffic, headlights flashed and horns blared as innocent drivers were forced to swerve out of the way. The young suspect showed no hesitation, pushing the stolen car head-on into danger at speeds that could have ended lives in seconds. Realizing the gravity of the situation, officers immediately called for every available unit to converge on the area.
Disregarding the light and still eastbound good. Back into normal lanes of traffic, and it is back into oncoming traffic. Still eastbound, coming up to Bryant Park. If I can get stop sticks at 60th and Good Hope, going to be northbound on 60th Good. From Good Hope, speeds are 40 miles an hour. Road conditions good, traffic is light. Northbound 60th Street, Great Hills. Good. 4281, we're going to be conducting a U-turn on Bradley, coming back to 60th Street. Lights are diminished, and we're now going to be doing another U-turn on Bradley at 60th, going back west on Bradley.
What stood out in this pursuit wasn't just the suspect's recklessness, but the officer's composure. Even with a teenager driving head-on into traffic at high speeds, the officer kept his voice calm over the radio, relaying location, direction, and every maneuver in real time. It was a textbook example of control under pressure, but with that calmness came restraint. The officer held back, never committing to a physical stop. Maybe it was caution, maybe it was waiting for the right opening, but that hesitation would prove costly because the next time the suspect darted into oncoming traffic, he didn't correct course. He never came back into his lane.
It is now in oncoming traffic. Traffic is light, road conditions good, speeds are 60 miles an hour.
44, cancel.
44281, cancel pursuit, 44212.
Crash, we need medical.
The pursuit came to a crushing halt. Officers rushed in, pulling the teenage driver and his passenger from the wreck and placing them under arrest. But inside the struck vehicle was 18-year-old Terry on his way to a Milwaukee Bucks game with a friend. He had nothing to do with the chase, nothing to do with the chaos. He was simply in the wrong place at the worst possible time. Terry was rushed to a nearby hospital, but despite every effort, he was later pronounced dead. 5 people in total were injured in the crash, but they survived. One reckless decision didn't just end a pursuit, it ended Terry's life, shattered his family's world, left friends grieving, and sealed the suspect's fate forever. What could have been a routine traffic stop instead became one of Milwaukee's most heartbreaking pursuits. On September 21, 2024, a Florida Highway Patrol trooper clocked a white Mercedes-Benz flying down I-95 at dangerous speeds. Behind the wheel was 20-year-old Andrew Jesus Martinez from Hollywood, Florida, swerving through traffic at over 100 mph in a 55 zone, riding bumpers, and risking multiple wrecks with every move. When the trooper hit the lights, Martinez didn't slow down for a second. Instead, he pushed the accelerator even harder, cutting from the far left lane to the far right, barely avoiding innocent drivers as the pursuit erupted on the highway.
Off the road going southbound.
The suspect lost control, shooting off the roadway, slamming into a tree and landing in a deep ditch. All 4 occupants immediately bailed from the wreck. 2 passengers were taken into custody right away, but Martinez and another man sprinted toward Biscayne Bay. In a last-ditch attempt to escape, both jumped into the water. Martinez eventually resurfaced and surrendered to officers, but his passenger never made it out. The following morning, around 9:40 a.m., authorities found his body floating near West 47th Street and Meridian Avenue. Martinez now faces charges including fleeing and eluding at high speed, reckless driving, resisting arrest, and driving without a license. On April 20th, 2019, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, what began as a simple drug-related complaint near 45th Street quickly escalated into one of the city's most dangerous pursuits. Officers located a vehicle connected to the call and attempted a traffic stop. But instead of pulling over, the driver slammed the accelerator, launching a high-risk chase through Milwaukee streets at deadly speeds.
Stand by, see where he goes.
Secondary 242, we are secondary. Still eastbound on Valley, the Sherman. Traffic is medium. Roads are clear, roads are dry. Still southbound on Sherman, pushing Burleigh. We're through Burleigh here, still southbound on Sherman. He's hitting traffic. He just hit a vehicle to get a PDO only at Cheevers. We're going to stop and see if they're okay.
8-2, we are still continuing as primary. Southbound on Sherman, passing Locust, passing north. Just caught up in a little bit of traffic here. 35, got a red, just turned green. Continuing through 35, still eastbound on Lisbon.
We're secondary. Approximately 65 miles an hour. He's getting caught up in traffic here, approaching 17th Street. Through 17th, continuing east, I believe.
The chase was now completely out of control. After slamming into another vehicle, it was obvious the suspect had no regard for anyone's safety. He was desperate, reckless, and willing to risk innocent lives just to escape. Seeing how rapidly the danger was escalating, the pursuing officer radioed for every available unit to respond before the situation turned catastrophic. Within moments, patrol cars were flooding in from all directions, tightening the net around the fleeing driver. But one question still hung in the air. Would he finally give up or force this pursuit past the point of no return?
Still continuing south on I-43. Still continuing south on 43. Traffic's light. Roads are dry. Speeds are approximately 90 miles per hour. We're passing exit 312 for Beecher. We got off on Beecher, disregard. Got off on exit 312B. South on South 5th Street. We're turning around. East on Beecher. Looks like he's trying to get back on the freeway here.
The pursuit spilled onto the freeway, where the suspect pushed his recklessness to the absolute limit, threading between vehicles, skimming mirrors, and leaving chaos behind him. But his sprint across the open highway didn't last long. Moments later, he suddenly veered toward an exit ramp, slicing across multiple lanes without a hint of warning.
Currently,
88 secondary. North Ave. I'll take over broadcast from here, get off on the North Avenue. Exit, we're going to be continuing eastbound and this is north on 7th. Continuing east on, coming up to MLK, clear right. Still east on Garfield.
clear. Passing 18th currently. 19th. North on 19th. Clear. Still south on 13th, passing Hope. Clear left, clear right. Clear. Appears to be a gray Pontiac G6 two-door. Under Rockford Students. Oh! Crash! 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 Force lines!
The impact was devastating.
The
fleeing vehicle struck so hard it sheared off a gas
ignited
main,
flames,
and turned a quiet street
into chaos.
Firefighters battled both the car fire and the growing danger of gas leaking into nearby homes. Inside the struck SUV was an innocent driver, simply running errands for medicine. She survived with minor injuries, but her family rushed to the scene in shock.
But the suspect wasn't as fortunate.
Rushed to the hospital. The
27-year-old driver was pronounced dead. What began as a drug investigation ended with a fiery crash, a house in danger, and a city reminded of the high cost of fleeing police.
Deputies with the Doña Ana County Sheriff's Office soon found themselves flooded with frantic 911 calls. An SUV was ripping through the Los Alturas area, and the person behind the wheel wasn't just young, he was only 12 years old. When deputies attempted to pull him over, the boy refused to stop. What followed was a pursuit unlike anything most officers will ever face in their careers. The SUV tore through residential neighborhoods, weaving in and out of parking lots, barely maintaining control. At one point, the vehicle even slowed long enough for the young driver to pick up 3 more kids, ages 12 to 15, before speeding off again. The chase grew even more dangerous as the stolen SUV blasted through motel parking lots and sliced across a Kmart lot, with deputies fighting to keep up. Then the pursuit took a terrifying turn. The 12-year-old driver steered into oncoming traffic, speeding the wrong way down a roadway. Miraculously, the 12-year-old walked away uninjured. But inside the other vehicle, there were children, and the driver was rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. When deputies confronted the boy, the body cam told the rest of the story. Crying, shaken, and clutching to excuses, he told officers it wasn't his fault, that the other kids had forced him to drive, but deputies weren't buying it. Ammunition for a 9mm handgun was found on him, and soon after, the gun itself was recovered along the chase route. The boy was taken into custody and booked into the Doña Ana County Detention Center, not just for aggravated fleeing, but also on an outstanding warrant for conspiracy to commit burglary of a vehicle. It was November 6, 2021, when a Loudoun County Sheriff's deputy spotted a silver Suzuki Hayabusa tearing down Shiloh Road, clocked at more than 20 miles over the limit. The motorcycle, sporting a skull decal, wasn't just speeding. It was seconds away from triggering one of the most reckless pursuits deputies had ever encountered. When the deputy attempted a traffic stop, the rider, later identified as Uriah Wade Hall, briefly rolled off the throttle near the interstate ramp. But instead of complying, he threw up 2 fingers in a taunting gesture before launching southbound onto I-75, accelerating hard and daring the deputy to keep up. At 145 minutes per minute, the highway turned into a high-speed chessboard. Troopers tightened in from both sides, attempting to box Hall in without triggering a catastrophic crash. But Hall had no intention of giving up. Every time a cruiser crept closer, he cracked the throttle wide open, slicing through impossibly tight gaps and barely escaping each attempt to contain him. Every second felt like disaster waiting to happen. Traffic split in panic as troopers stayed locked on his tail, refusing to let the runaway rider slip out of sight. Hall managed to slip through yet another boxing attempt, his motorcycle firing between troopers like a speeding round. But with every passing mile, more units flooded into the pursuit. The open lanes he had been relying on began to disappear, one by one. The highway closed in around him, forming a moving wall of flashing blue lights, leaving him no space to breathe and no room left to gamble. The chase came to an abrupt end when the suspect lost control, his motorcycle sliding out from under him and throwing him across the far left lane. Deputies sprinted in immediately, providing medical aid as EMS rushed to the scene. But the pursuit itself was only half the story. During the search, investigators discovered a loaded 9mm handgun on Hall, along with 829 grams of meth, heroin, digital scales coated in residue, and more than $600 in cash. As a convicted felon with prior charges for burglary, drug trafficking, and even providing a false name to officers, Hall had no legal business carrying a firearm or that quantity of narcotics. He was ultimately sentenced to 20 years in federal prison with no possibility of parole. On July 10, 2021, just after 1:30 a.m., a Coweta County pursuit spilled onto Interstate 85 southbound, and Georgia State Patrol was called to assist. The fleeing driver was behind the wheel of a dark vehicle, lights off, racing into the night at speeds topping 140 mph. As troopers closed in, the suspect swerved recklessly, slamming his brakes whenever a pit attempt was near.
Safety, I'll continue southbound.
Multiple tactical attempts to stop the vehicle failed. Each time troopers moved into position, the driver fought back, weaving, braking hard, and even forcing officers to swerve to avoid being hit. The chase spilled onto State Route 18, where the driver spun off the shoulder, careened down an embankment, and somehow clawed his way back onto the ramp. but he wasn't done running.
Alright, I got you stand by. He's still busy. Never mind, we're driving back out of it. We're driving back out. We're still southbound. He tried to exit at 34. Alright, he's cut back up the embankment. We're going back up towards top of 34 now.
Clear, cutting up the embankment, takes a turning right on the 18.
Making a U-turn, cut through the median, we're coming back.
Y'all going northbound or southbound?
We're back southbound.
We're on southbound.
As a trooper moved in to set up another pit maneuver, the suspect did the unthinkable. He intentionally rammed the patrol car. The cruiser spun out at highway speeds, narrowly missing the tree line. But the trooper managed to regain control, recover the skid, and immediately jump back into the pursuit.
Alright, he's still in it.
Well, take time. Go for it.
Pinned against a large oak tree, the chase appeared to be over. But only for a moment. The driver shattered the rear window, crawled out, and took off running. In the darkness of the woods, the foot pursuit was brief. Deputies tackled him and took him into custody. Inside the vehicle, officers found a passenger with active warrants, and in the back seat, a terrified 4-year-old child. The child was immediately rushed to medics and was later safely reunited with family. The driver told deputies he ran because his license was suspended, and in his own words, he didn't want to go back to jail. He also admitted to drinking and smoking marijuana while driving over 140 men with a child in the car. Blood samples were collected, and he was booked into jail on a long list of charges.